Hello and welcome to Nick's Allotment Diary. Well, there's an autumnal feel this morning on the allotment. So now we're into September. I'll show you what's growing on my plot. So we'll start off with the tomatoes. You can see the black tomatoes are still doing well, they're producing quite a lot. I'm going to pick some of them now because some of them will be ripe. I also have some moneymaker tomatoes here, and this variety is a variety called Scottish Yellow. I have cut back some of the foliage on these plants so as to try and get the tomatoes to ripen. There's another yellow tomato, this one's called Yellow Perfection. Next to this we have the sweet corn. As you can see, damage caused again by some sort of rodent, I would say. There are a few cobs to come that haven't been touched, so I'm going to try and pick as many of those as I can now the tassels have gone brown, and get them before any of the rodents get hold of them. Moving round to the peppers. We're in September and there's only a few peppers on this outdoor pepper plant. Don't know whether you can see that one there. I think it might be a tall order to get these to ripen before the frosts. Next to the peppers we have the Crimson Crush tomatoes. A few of those starting to ripen now, and the piccolo tomatoes that I showed you in the last video are starting to ripen now. In the corner of this bed we have this miniature sunflower. This is a variety called Firecracker. I grew them last year. You get them in different colours. This one's one of the yellow ones. Over to the bed with the beans and parsnips in. So these are the Dwarf French beans, Canadian Wonder, and I've just turned over this plant so you can see the beans that are forming. There are loads of them. So I shall be picking some of the larger ones today. As you can see, they're still flowering, so there's still more beans to come. Parsnips, a few parsnips there. I had planted some parsnip seedlings along the same row. I'm not sure whether these are them coming up. I think it might be. Might be too late to produce parsnips this year, but I've given them a go. What does seem to have come up reasonably well are the carrots. Now, I've never had much luck with carrots before, but there are quite a few carrot seedlings. Got 2 rows. And also I planted some beetroot along this row. See if I can get a few small baby beets before the winter. In this tunnel I've got some cabbage, so they're Savoy cabbage, and also at the back there's some purple sprouting broccoli. So I'm going to leave these ones over the winter and hopefully they should heart up and produce cabbage for the spring, and the purple sprouting broccoli will probably produce March time. So good to have some things in growing over the winter. I'll take you over to show you the tomatoes. These are the Yellow Perfection tomatoes that I've had growing in the air pots, and the other pot. Both of them have done relatively well. I think I've mentioned to you before that there doesn't seem to be much difference in the growth between the two of them. It has been more difficult to keep the air pot watered. I will at the end of the season have a look at the root systems of the two and compare the root systems. My suspicion is that the root system on the air pot will be more developed, but we'll check that out later on in the season. Now over to the brassica bed. Don't know how easy that is to see, but we've got in here sprouts and calabrese, and also there is some cauliflowers. Now there has been some caterpillar damage. I have been through this, taking the netting off and trying to remove as many caterpillars as possible, because I do want to try and get some sprouts for winter. But I think my problem has been that the netting, this netting does have holes along it, so I guess butterflies can get in and out. So I'm going to have to do something to sew those up next year, I think. Over to the flower bed. We have a late flush of roses. I did cut back all the flowers from this when they flowered in the summer, and it was worthwhile doing because, as you can see, there are plenty of new flowers. That lovely yellow one. Another thing I've done is to prune back this bed to remove a lot of the calendula flowers that had gone over, that were producing seed. There are plenty of flowers to come and plenty of seed in this bed for next year. Just have a look at the colour of those. And next to it I've got these red flowers that I planted. I think they might be Rudbeckia, but I might be wrong. The other rose I've got is this deep red colour. Again, cutting it back has allowed it to produce a second flush of flowers. And over here we have the verbena. Not sure if you can see that bee visiting. Bees and butterflies love this. Now over to the sunflowers. Look at that lovely colour. So this is the red sunflower. Produce loads of flowers, this one. Definitely going to grow that one again next year. Look how many flowers on one plant. It's produced loads of side shoots. And it's carried on for months. Here's a nice sunflower, just finishing this one now. Just starting to produce its seed. This one is a Kong sunflower. You can see quite a few of the sunflowers are finishing now, producing their seed. So I'll be saving seed and sending it out to anybody that likes some sunflower seeds next year. This is a nice sunflower. This is one called Alchemy. Produces lots of small heads, so I'll be gathering seed from those as well. And there are some sunflowers that are still to come. This one is a Titan sunflower. This is the one that has quite large heads normally. It's about, I'd say about 7 foot tall at the moment. I don't think it'll grow much taller. But should be good to produce a late sunflower, this one. And over to this bed. This has become a little bit overgrown, but it's got another red sunflower, another Kong sunflower. This one's just out now, so will be visited, as you can see, by all sorts of insects. Just going to show you now the cosmos. And look at the colours of this cosmos. Bright pink. Doing really well. And this is a variety of Rebecca, and it's a variety called Rustic Dwarf. Now to the squash bed. After cutting it back on the last video, you'll see plenty of squash. So we've got the cheeky curry squash, quite a lot of those. One over there, another one there, another one there. In fact, the bed is full of those. I'll also show you the pink banana squash, which is a sort of orange colour. Apologies for the shadow. And over here we have more of the cheeky curry squash, and we also have these ones, which I think might be a variety called a festival squash. I grew them from a supermarket squash that I saved seed from last year. It's produced a few of them, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of patterns it has on them. And just show you the yellow courgette, still producing loads of courgettes, get several every week, so I shall be picking those later. Now over to the French beans. For some reason the plants at this end of the frame have done all the work this year and produced loads of beans. As you can see, there's another load to be picked today. But the plants at this end didn't do as well. I think they got shaded by the plum tree next door, so didn't do as well as they could have done. But to be honest, I've had more than enough beans from these plants at this end, so I'm not too worried about that. And I've had lots of dwarf French beans. This bed needs weeding now. See, there's a nettle there that needs coming out. And there's still some beetroot that need to be picked. I've still got all these buckets of potatoes that I haven't actually turned around yet. So plenty of potatoes yet to harvest. One thing that has done well this year has been this apple tree, James Grieve. Look at these apples, really pleased with them, and there's loads on this tree this year, so I'll be picking some of these soon. The other thing that has done well is this pear tree. It's only a couple of years old, but it's got 6 pears on it. Need to keep an eye on those, and as soon as they ripen I'll need to get them off. But yeah, quite pleased with this tree. Shows good promise for the future. Into the fruit cage. Last time I showed you this, there was quite a lot of bindweed. I have pulled a lot of that out, by no means all of it, but I'm hoping to try and keep on top of it. And I did notice as I came in that there are some strawberries. These are the perpetual strawberries, the ones that carry on producing later on in the year. So I shall be picking those later. And I did pick the majority of the blackberries, but there are some still to pick there. I just wanted to show you what's growing in the greenhouse. So I've got plenty of these tomatoes. These are the black cherry tomatoes. Look at that one, it's almost pink. A lot of these will need picking now. You have to, with these sort of black or purple tomatoes, you need to make sure that they've got tinges of red. If they've got tinges of green, they're still to ripen. So that one's still to ripen. The ones that are black and sort of red, they are ripe. I'll try one and let you know. A beautiful sweet ripe tomato. I've also got some yellow tomatoes in here. These are the one called Ildi, and I'll show you some of the chilies. They're now ripening. Plenty of those on this plant down here too. Now over to the sweet peppers. That's an unusual one. It's all curled up. That's supposed to be a pointed red pepper. Not had many of the pointed peppers. There are a few forming. One at the back there. This is bell pepper. Again, lots of flowers, not much fruit as yet. This bell pepper's got quite a bit of fruit on. See them there. So hopefully they'll ripen before it gets too cold. I'm going to have to think about doing peppers next year. I think what I may consider doing is to grow the peppers in the trough on the other side of the greenhouse and not grow tomatoes, and just concentrate on growing all my tomatoes either outdoor or at home. That hopefully should allow the plants to get to a bigger size, because they are restricted on this side of the greenhouse by the roof really. So thinking about it, I might plant them along this side, and then they'll have a chance to grow from down there all the way up about 3 or 4 feet. So something to think about for next year. So here we have today's harvest. We've got the dwarf French beans, some yellow courgettes, the yellow perfection tomatoes, the black tomatoes, some cherry tomatoes, sweet corn, piccolo tomatoes, and the mac cherry pink tomatoes. And over here we've got some yellow raspberries, which I've picked from a neighbouring plot, who very kindly let me pick some of his yellow raspberries. Some red raspberries from my plot, green courgette, and lots of climbing French beans. So plenty of harvest today from the allotment. Hope you enjoyed that tour of my plot in September. As you can see, there's still plenty of things to come. Thanks very much for joining me at Nick's Allotment. I'll see you again next time.